Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. This is day 3 of the Caterpillar D2 5J number 1113 diesel engine disassembly video series, and hopefully the final day. I would love to get this the rest of the way apart before having to quit again, and I'm sure you guys would like to see it go the rest of the way down too. So first step, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time talking. I want to begin by taking the oil pump and front pickup screen off. But I think even before that, I'm going to remove the idler gear, and we don't have to worry about aligning timing marks or anything around in here because we're taking all this stuff apart anyway. So idler gear comes off. The reason why I did that, I've now isolated the entire gear train so that as I am working with either the accessory shaft or the camshaft or oil pump or anything, I know that the crankshaft is not going to move. You guys know I want to keep these pistons in the position that they're in and then try and pull them out one at a time after I'm sure the bores are completely clean. So gear train is all isolated now. We can begin. So to start things off, I've got all of the fold over locks pulled back from the bolts, which that will go without saying from this point on. Virtually every fastener inside these engines either has a fold over lock securing it, or as the rods and mains are, a cotter pin folded through it. There was quite a lot of hand fitting during the assembly process of these engines in that department anyway. Especially with these fold over locks, you always have to be conscious of where you're going to fold the lock tabs to ensure there will be no counterclockwise movement on that fastener once everything is sealed up. So with that out of the way, get the front suction bell off, and although dirty, it's just a really interesting piece. It's brass construction, soldered screen. They used a lot of brass in these engines. It was not quite out of the brass era yet, and it's just something that to me just screams quality. I really like that. But anyway, take this tube out as well. Oil pump comes out next. A few drops of water ran out, and I can turn the shaft that moves the pump gears. So, oh yeah, there's water in there yet. Well, it's pumping though, pumping water. Oil pump base and drive shaft should come out next. And the gear looks pretty darn good where it rides on the cam there. Next out will be the camshaft. Now I can remove the accessory shaft drive gear, governor flyweights, and idler gear hub, all as an assembly. Got to kind of knock this one a little bit to get the accessory shaft hub disengaged from the intermediate cover. There we go. Finally, the last big piece to come off the front of the engine is the intermediate cover. Okay guys, real quick, I have the dial indicator set up on the crankshaft here. I've zeroed it out, and I want to do an in-play check before I start loosening any bearing caps here. Nominal clearance is 9 to 15 thousandths in play, so let's see what we get. And it looks like we're about 7, maybe 7 to 8. I think I'm going to call that 8 because we're going just a little past the 0. Yep, I'm seeing 8. I'll take it. Nice. Passed the first test. So the next quick checks I wanted to do was just to try and gauge what the clearances may be on my bottom end bearings, and I pulled at random one rod cap off, and the journal looked very good. I found that it has the aluminum bearings in, which is kind of to be expected. But then at random I pulled one main bearing cap and found that it has the Babbitt line bearings. that is kind of where we go off the rails, but I'll just tell you what I found real quick. I did a plastic gauge check on number 4 rod bearing here, and got the specs right in front of me here. Pardon me while I look them up. Connecting rod bearing clearance, aluminum 5 to 8, initial clearance maximum 13. And I got 7 thousandths right on this one with the plastic gauge. So that is basically like new spec, and everything looks pretty darn good in there. The main bearing though causes me a little bit of concern because, as you can see here, it's starting to shell the babbitt lining off of the backing of the bearing insert, and that is not good. These can be relined with new babbitt. That's a good thing. It's just expensive and time consuming, but I did a clearance check on this main bearing up here, and this one came in right at 6 thousandths clearance. So I'll bring up my specs here again real quick. Crankshaft main journal diameter, it's on my phone here, sorry, is babbitt 3 to 5 initially, with a maximum permissible clearance of 12, and I'm at 6 right here. So basically, from what I've checked in the bottom end, it's right at brand new spec for the most part, and I love the fact that it's got the aluminum rod bearings in. I wish it would have had the updated aluminum mains. Instead it has these old original babbitt ones, and I don't like the fact that this one's starting to lose pieces. I'm kind of expecting to see that on some of the others, but if I have a really good bottom end here and a good crank, I'd say it's definitely worth getting some bearings re-babbitted. But I'm going to take this crankshaft out next. I want to know what size these are, if it's been turned undersize, if it's all standard, and that may affect what I may be able to find for new main bearings. I don't know. So disassembly continues. Alright, I wanted to show you guys this step. I've got all of the main bearing cap nuts loosened and all of the rod cap nuts backed way off, but I'm pulling this rear main cap right now. This one requires the use of a puller because A, it's pretty deep, it fits the block very tightly, and B, there is little strips of packing that go down each side of it, fill a small cavity in order to actually seal this joint between the main cap and the block. So it has a 1/2 inch by 13 thread pitch hole tapped in the middle of it, just for a puller like this to actually work it out by using pulling force. Otherwise it's very, very difficult to even make move. There we go. Okay, here goes the crankshaft. Okay guys, we're getting down to it. We've got the block repositioned once again. We've got cylinder number 4 right here. I'm going to try and drive that piston out. I think it's going to come out pretty easily because it was moving fairly well before. Got my wood block up on the top of it, so let's see what happens. Moving easy. And there we go. There we go. Okay everybody, I'm just going to take stock of what I got here. As you can see, we got the block pretty well stripped down now. A few miscellaneous pieces still in it. Cam bearing inserts are still there, and I threw those main bearing shells back in for now too, just to kind of keep those in their original positions for now, so it's one less thing I have to keep track of. I'm certainly not going to discard those bearing shells because wear-wise they're in very good condition, but I showed you that one that was starting to lose the babbitt, and I found another one that was also starting to peel babbitt off the backing. So I think, and I stress the word I think, I've found a new set of mains for this. They're getting very hard to find for these old engines, and I had to do a lot of searching, but we'll see what shows up. Hopefully I've got that problem solved and it won't be an issue. Sleeves are still in the block. Don't have a lot of faith I can save these, but I might have a better set here already. I got to do some digging, see what I can come up with, but lots of rust pitting going on in here. Number 3 is not horrible, but 1, 2, and 4, not the best. Got some steel over here. This is going to be an adapter for my sleeve puller. Once, excuse me, once I get it turned down, hopefully get these sleeves pulled out, see if the inside of that block is just as ugly looking as the outside is. Crankshaft, very happy with that. Mains and rods, mic out at 100% new standard spec yet. I do get about 1/1000th out around on the mains and about 2/1000 out around on the rods, but maximum spec on these crankshafts is 6/1000 out around. So in the D2 world, this is a real cherry crankshaft yet, so really happy with that. Little bit of water staining on the journals, can't feel it with your fingernail, so I think some emery cloth would just wipe that right off, and I'm very, very pleased with that piece right there. Pistons and rods. Of course, lots of rust in here around the rings, lots of stuck rings. I'm going to see if I can find some new rings for this. But pistons show no appreciable wear, no scuffing, no score marks anywhere. They do have some water staining on them, but I think they're a very nice set of pistons, and you just can't find these anymore. So these will get cleaned up, try and reuse them again. I really like how the piston pin fit is inside the piston as well as to the rod. No appreciable wear can be detected there. And bottom ends look good. Really like all the bearings, all aluminum inserts, which is what I prefer to have in these. And I'll show you something real quick. If you notice, when we took these out, we took them out through the bottom of the block. Usually you would take a piston and rod assembly out the top, but you can't on these series D2s. So if I line this piston up with that edge of the rod bearing, you can see the rod bearing end is way bigger around than the piston. So these piston rod assemblies have to come out the bottom on these engines, and that's another reason why these D2s lasted so long. All big bearings on the bottom end, just built to last and go a lot of hours. So cam looks good. Oil pump, I'm going to take that apart. I think there's still some water in there. I want to get that cleaned up, at least oiled up for now, so it doesn't cause me any more problems. But I'm going to call day 3 over with. Pretty well got this thing stripped down. Very happy with what I found inside this engine. So I think I can make a pretty good rotating assembly out of what I got. And have a line on another block to use. And I think it's going to be a very, very good one if it turns out to be good. I got a video on that coming soon. And another kind of interesting twist with that part of the story as well. But you guys will see that in a bit. So anyway, that's going to be it for day 3. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, and I hope to see you back again.